again, y'all. Heavy Heart here with another lesson, and this time we are going to delve into Polyphia's song OD. And I'm going to show you how they constructed, or Tim, I guess Tim was the one that wrote this, how he constructed this riff, the chord progression, where it comes from, the scale and the modes that are used, if I can talk right, the melodies, the scales, all that good stuff. And we're gonna use the knowledge from that riff to just realize I didn't have my mic set up on my camera again. Well, after this intro, you're gonna have better audio, so just be patient. Patience is a virtue. We're gonna delve into OD. I already said that. I guess I'll just skip to the good stuff. We're gonna use OD and the knowledge we gained from analyzing how he constructed this riff, and we're gonna create our own riff. I'm gonna show you how you can do that, how you can manipulate it and make it your own. I actually did this with a student recently. Shout out to Max. And we made some pretty good stuff here. We made some cool chord progressions, made it a little different based off of the original, and we also created a melody that goes along with this. And I'll show you kind of how we construct the melody, what's a good way to construct melodies over these chords, and what kind of vibes you get. It's kind of like a Latin kind of feel, so you can get some Latin music theory going in here, so you can create your own, like Alright, let's get to it, y'all. Let's go. What the hell is this wood chipper down here? Oh boy. Oh god. Alright guys, let's get into it. So, I'm going to play the first half of the OD intro riff slowly. And I'm going to try to play it as clean as possible. This last part with the tapping is a little rough, but let's see if we can do this, okay? And we'll analyze it after we go. So it goes something like this. And then he starts off the second half kind of similarly, and that's where we're going to go next later. So, analyzing this riff, he just simply starts off with an F-sharp minor arpeggio. Very simple, nothing too crazy, but he sweeps it, so he really plays it like kind of like that, but super fast. Right? And he kind of palm mutes half of it as he goes. Accents that last note. And then he kind of almost goes to do the same thing. But he hits this, which is kind of outlining a D major 7 arpeggio in first inversion. If you were to hit that, it'd be like this. Right? So it's really like a D major 7 chord over F sharp. Alright, so it goes from F sharp minor is our 1 chord. That's our 1. We're in the key of F sharp minor. And then he goes to the flat 6 of F sharp minor. Alright? So 1 flat 6 major, okay? And then he does an F diminished 7 arpeggio. That's all an F diminished 7 arpeggio. Fully diminished F sharp. There's your fully diminished right there. There's the 6. So F diminished with this nice little chord there. Nice stretch. Does something similar. It's just another diminished chord up there. Diminished chords repeat every 3 frets. So he just does that. Alright, slides into it. And then he outlines a C dominant arpeggio, kind of with a suspended 4th in there. So he goes just a regular like sweep you would do. Similarly, he just goes. So there's your 4, there's your suspended 4. A quick little one there. Third to root, there's your flat 7 for dominant. 5th, 3rd, plucking that high root again. So C sharp 7, something like that. C sharp sus to C sharp 7, whatever you want to call it. But it's really just like a little passing tone there. So we go 1, flat 6, 7 diminished, 5. Then it repeats the first half. F sharp minor, D major 7 or F sharp, F diminished. This is kind of where it changes. It's just an F sharp 7 outline, F sharp minor 7 outline. Then he goes to something different here. Kind of like another, you could call it F diminished again, right? Or B diminished, something like that. Alright? Yeah, you could call it either one of those. 2 hammer on from nowhere, octave. Alright? And then taps this little diminished thing here. On the second one, you pull off to 7. 7 on the D, alright? And then you hammer on from nowhere. Which kind of outlines an F sharp minor again. So that section, minor 1, major flat 6, diminished 7, 1. You could call it a 7 diminished again, to 1. So essentially the same thing twice, just in a different iteration. And then he does the first sweep arpeggio up at B minor, which now you're going to the 4 chord. No, the 4 chord. Yeah, you're going to the 4 chord there, which is another concept that is used a lot in compositional technique. So then he continues, and I'm not trying that next part because that is I can barely do this part. Alright, that's hard enough. Alright, so let's get into it. The concepts that he's using for this. So I told you the outline already. Again, I'll put it on the screen. It is minor 1, major flat 6, diminished 7, 5 chord. Again, minor 1, major flat 6, diminished 7, minor 1. I'm going to call this a F diminished, so it's going to be like a 7 diminished again to 1 at the end there. Alright, and then he goes to the 4 chord. Alright, and then he kind of does a similar thing. So, what you can do with this is follow the melody. So he's just arpeggiating the chord. That second one is an inversion of D. So instead of starting on the root, you start on the next note in the arpeggio, which is the major 3rd. Right away, that's one simple concept that you can use to kind of help you construct your melodies. You can outline chords and use their inversions to get different voice leading and different sounds. The inversions actually kind of sound differently from the root position chords. Alright, it's just how our ears pick it up. And then he's literally just outlining a diminished 7 arpeggio again, diminished 7 chord. Right? He's just playing it a certain way. Right? And a lot of this he's sweeping, so he's playing it with a certain technique. Sweeping it. He's also kind of hybrid picking a lot of it too. Alright? Sliding into notes. Alternate pick or upstroke. Alright. And then again, hammer on, sweep, hammer on pull off. I do all upstrokes there. And there's your hybrid pick. And then, so those are all some really good techniques when constructing your melodies, right? So, and then he kind of does the same thing. This we're not really going into. He's adding taps with higher octaves of the same thing. Pulling off, hammer on from nowhere. That's all hammer on from nowhere, so it's kind of cool. But again, he's just outlining the chord. It's literally just an arpeggio of the same thing, but then it's an inversion as well. That's in first inversion from F sharp, starting on the flat 3rd of the chord. then you're getting some different voice leading there. So there you go. And I'm using a Gruvgear to help with that because there's
too much ring out and it's way too difficult to not have that happen. So I don't care. I'm going to cheat just a little bit. You let me cheat, okay? I teach you the correct way to do this. Hey.
Now we have that. We have 1, flat 6, 7, 5. There's our bass outline, which comes from Harnronic Minor. So we're actually in F sharp harmonic minor here because of that diminished chord and the dominant 5 chord. Normally that 5 chord, the C sharp, would be minor if we're diatonic, but we're in harmonic minor, so they make it dominant 7. Alright, dominant 7, flat 9. Get that kind of resolution. So that quickest one, minor 1 chord to a dominant 5 chord. If you're on the A string, wherever you are, play a minor chord, you just jump up a string. If you're in standard, and then play a dominant 7 chord or just a major chord. You've probably heard this before. Same concept, 1, 5, minor 1 to dominant 5. So and then they extend it though. They go from minor 1. You can kind of think of this as kind of some kind of relative major, even though the relative major is actually A. This is actually usually another Spanish progression uses this. It goes minor 1, flat 6, major to the 5. So in open tuning, you've heard this before. That's that same concept. You kind of it's almost like a 2-5-1 if you want to think of it that way, with a tritone substitution. So you're really going F sharp minor to, it's really a half diminished 2 chord, which is G sharp half diminished to 5. But you can tritone sub this and play a Lydian chord. Resolve it to the 5. Half step motion. Or major, major, minor, okay? And then you can always throw in a diminished chord a half step below the root or the key center of the composition. So for an F sharp, you can pretty much throw in an F diminished 7 anywhere, and it leads back nicely, very nicely, into the F sharp minor chord. So that's kind of what he does halfway through. So instead of going from right to the 5, you extend getting to the 5 by a diminished chord. So you're going. You can hear the voice leading in that as well, very, very well. You can always subs out. This diminished chord also kind of acts like a 5 chord. Since it repeats. If you move this root, D diminished 7 down a half step, you just get another C sharp 7 chord. So it's really just an extension of C sharp dominant 7. So alright, then he just does that again pretty much. So we'll just keep it at that. F sharp minor, D, F diminished 7, C sharp 7. 1, minor 1, major 6, 7 diminished, dominant 5. Back to 1. Now we're going to do the same thing, almost the same thing, up to the 4 chord, which the song does. So we're going to go to B minor now. Alright? So we're going to kind of continue the same chord progression. So now we're going to think of B minor as our 1, essentially. But we're not changing keys, so keep that in mind. We're not changing keys. We're still in F sharp harmonic minor. So here, from before we did 1 down 4 frets to a major chord. Okay? We're gonna do the same thing here, but we have to stay in key. So what happens if we do from B down 4 frets? You can already hear it's kind of out of tune, right? So that brings us to a G. But in F sharp harmonic minor, we have a G sharp. So we're gonna bump that G to stay in key up to a G sharp. Okay? So we're really gonna go B minor is our 1, or the 4 chord, to G sharp. It's a minor 6, I believe. No, that's not what I want to do. You can think of it that way, but it's really like a G sharp diminished. So it's a G sharp diminished there, okay? You could also play half diminished. So let's actually do that. That's in key. So B minor, G sharp half diminished, okay? And then we went to a half step below the root and played a diminished chord. So can we do that here? No, because that A sharp is out of key, so we have to bring it down to an A, which is in key with F sharp. Now what is A normally in the key of F sharp minor? It's the relative major, so we're going to play this A chord as an A major. Okay, same thing. You can play it as it's an Ionian, so it's the major chord, so you can play it as a major 7, which is what we're going to do. Alright, so far we have our 1 to our major 6, half diminished, to our major 7, chord, and the major 7 of the key. Alright, the flat 7, sorry. So the flat 7 of B minor, it's a major 7 chord. Okay, now the last one was the 5 chord, so can we do the same thing here? B, F sharp. Yes, we can. So F sharp, we're just going to keep it as an F sharp minor. Okay, so now we have our same progression and F sharp. We're going to do the same kind of bass line outlining the chords in relation to B minor. No, starting at B minor, but still in relation to F sharp minor, harmonic minor. So just like that. In relation to F sharp, B minor is the 4, minor 4, G sharp half diminished is the 2 chord, which I said before, that's in key. Then the 7 in relation to B minor is the relative major of F sharp, which is just the 1 chord really, or the flat 3 chord major, okay? And then the 5 chord of B minor is the 1 chord, is F sharp minor again. I know that was kind of a lot, so let's go over it very slowly again. So in relation to F sharp minor, we have the 1, the flat 6, the diminished 7, and the 5. Transposing everything up. All right, we're transposing up fourth interval. All right, so everything we play here is still relating back to F sharp minor, harmonic minor, to stay in key. But we're following a similar concept, a similar bass line, a similar chord progression from what we played before. So we're going to try to mimic as best we can while still staying in key. So we only altered to stay in key. So it's the 4 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, and the 5 chord. Okay. The first time around, since we're going to repeat this, you could play that 5 of B minor. Instead of playing F sharp minor, you could play F sharp dominant 7 to lead back into B minor nicely, but that's up to you. Okay, so altogether we have this. Again. Four. At the end there, since we're going to go back to F sharp, do the 5 of F sharp to lead back into F sharp. which I'll show you the melody I came up with, why that follows and why I chose to do that, and what that sounds like. So, to write your own melody based off of this, he literally starts off with an arpeggio, so why not do some kind of other type of arpeggio? So the one I chose was this. I literally just inverted it. Alright, and then I'm going to go to the D chord early, so I'm going to go to that D chord. Alright, and then I'm going to kind of outline it as well. That's all D major 7. Going into the F diminished 7 there. Up there. Now I'm going to the C sharp chord. This is also kind of like F diminished, so they're related. So it's all the same thing. This is all F diminished 7 / C sharp 7. That's literally just you're doing a C sharp dominant 7 arpeggio in first inversion. I'm starting from the major 3rd and just doing root, 5th, flat 7, root. I mean, sorry, 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root. Get that flat 9 there, that diminished. Going into a key note in the key. That's outlining a C sharp 7 flat 9 chord, which is C sharp and diminished mixed together. So all of that is. Then I'm going to repeat. Now since I got this, I'm going to transpose this up to my B minor. I'm going to try to play this. I'm going to try to play it the same way, but I'm only going to alter it to stay in key. So I'm not going to be able to play exactly the same pattern, but all I have to do is move one note for certain sections, and then we'll be in key. So we can't play that. That's out of key. That's a G note, so we have to bump that up to G sharp, kind of like we did following our chord progression. Bump up that G. So now we have like a B minor 6 sound. All of that is actually still in key. F sharp, E, which is a flat 7, perfect 5th, C sharp. So that's all in key. That's exactly the same. So it's only that one note. It's that 4th note I play is different. Okay, so now I change it here because I don't really want to go. That sounds a little too pretty, so I'm going to just play something based off of the chord. So I'm going to outline G sharp, half diminished. And then your D chord, or the A major 7 there. So it's kind of like a hybrid between that. Kind of sounds like D Lydian as well, so you can kind of think of it however you want. There's your G sharp half diminished. It's a very similar motif for that. I just change it up a little bit to give it a little more variation, but it's very similar, as you can tell. It's very similar, alright? Now I'm going to repeat that. I like to do a quick little Greg House slide up there, the 2nd time only, and then go to do the same thing for the G sharp half diminished. But now I'm going to do this chord run. It's a dominant or it's a diminished chord run. Just like that. And that's kind of like outlining your C sharp dominant going back into F sharp. So that whole section goes like this. I'm going to play that again. at the end there, I play quadruplets. So they're fourths as triplets, is how you want to think of it. Alright, so I'm very slidey with that. So altogether, I'm going to play it with the recording as well. So this goes like this. All together. Alright, with the track, let's give it a go. There we go. So, I want you to pay attention, replay that lick, and pay attention to the different techniques that I'm using. Right? Slides. Right? Like really quick little things. It's hybrid picking some of it. Slide ins. Pull offs, right? Chord slides, all that kind of stuff. Boom, get some. All right, guys. I hope that helped you kind of understand Tim Henson's thought process in creating the OD riff, the main riff there, and how you can utilize that information about the chord progression, the bass line, the melody, the techniques that he's using, and manipulate them to create your own unique riffs and ideas, just like I did there with my Student Max. Alright, so you really just have, it's a very good Latin chord progression. It's actually very simple, and he's literally trying to just transpose everything up to the 4 chord, which a lot of songs go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, or alternatively the 1 chord to the 5 chord quite often. Alright, one half of the verse is the 1 chord, the other half of the verse is the 4 chord, to add variety and give just a different vibe to the passage. Work on your arpeggios, your sweeps, and your inversions are very helpful with all of this. The inversions really help you to spice up your playing, create different new voice leading into different chords and melodies. You want to think about motifs. All right, motif is literally taking an idea and then moving it around. So, just like I did here. I'm staying in key on purpose, so I'm literally just moving whatever notes I have to stay in key. If you wanted to purposely change key, you could literally just play the same thing somewhere else. Just make sure the chords follow that same melody. Watch out though, because the ears, it kind of sounds a little weird if you're not doing it right, if you're not being slick with it. So just be wary of that. And it's a good exercise anyways to learn your keys really well and adapt to a new tonal center, right? The first half we're going, our tonal center is F sharp minor. The second half of the verse, your tonal center is B minor. Alright, so you got to think of it that way. And then the C sharp dominant 7 or F diminished at the end of the second part of the second verse, that leads better into F sharp minor. Instead of doing the 5 chord as an F sharp minor again from B minor, you're just doing 1 to 1 again. That's boring. So to make it more interesting, the 5 chord, you can always go back to the 1 chord using the 5 chord of that chord. Yeah, that's not confusing at all. Anyways, guys, let me know if you like this lesson, if you benefit from it, if this taught you a lot about Polyphia and their song OD and Latin progression in general, and how you can adapt this to prog rock, prog metal, or even just metal playing in general, and utilizing all these different techniques, creating really nice soundscapes and arrangements. Alright, the arrangement part is very key as well in this. Let me know what you thought. Leave a comment below, like, subscribe, all that, and let me know if you want to see more. Alright guys, till next time. Peace!